Okay, so let's think about what we need for a proposal. So let's make this a heading, and that way some folks will know where to go find it. Let's make this title. There we go. So everybody knows this is yours. This will be part of your contribution to collaborative notes. Now, when we were thinking about text and thinking about some examples from Tuesday, so let's see what you had added. So the girl who survived a book. Now, do you feel like that is the most important text to you? Like when we talk about defining who we are, it's like our personality, the things we think are important. Did this book help you figure that out?
I didn't complete reading of this book, but I just read it one time when I was in Afghanistan before the war started. So yeah, it's kind of like I just put myself on the girl's position, that how I faced the struggling. This is somehow reality where I faced that I now hear. So I kind of matching to the present time when I was.
Okay. So that's a really good thing to choose, is because it was kind of helping you see and understand your world better, right? So let's see, The Girl Who Survived. Do you remember who the author is? We can look it up. It's not a problem. All right. So for Leeda, what I did there? What is happening?
Yeah, and also yeah, sorry to interrupting you. I'm so obsessed with the Socrates, the Greek philosopher of wise person. I also wanted to write to mention like one of his statement he always mentioned. So I remember that the unexamined life is means like it's not a worthy if a person don't do anything. So so it was like the same. Yeah, the life which is unexamined is not life worthy or something.
Okay. So which that saying by Socrates or the book, which do you think would be more interesting for you to write about? What would make you happy?
If I do write my proposal based on this, the girl survived. So it's basically reversing my life. So and then I have to start what is exactly means a girl survived. I have to bring up writing about my experience of the past and the present and now which is going on, what will comes up in the future. So it's basically all about myself.
Well, it's kind of like, when we think about the influence on us and like the rhetorical tools that work, that might be the best one to kind of look at, because that had a big impact on the way you think and how you feel and what you do. So I think that one would probably be the best one to take a look at for this project. So let me get that title one more time. I lost track of it. Potential text.
Yeah, if I write about the Socrates of his statement that the unexamined life is not worth living. I think so. It was the same. Yeah. Well,
that would be much different, right?
Yeah, it is really different.
Yeah, let's go with the book. So The Girl Who Survived. You want to make Lisa Jackson, right? Is that right? Or
yeah.
We have two of them.
The girl, yeah, who survived.
So, which one is it?
The red one, the girl. This one, you're.
So Ellie Midwood. Okay. So I'm gonna go to Amazon just to get a little bit of information. Now, Ellie Midwood is the author. Okay. All right. So, what I'm getting us essentially is some information about the book. Girl Who Survived. So remember how we talked about in class, like the formatting that you would need for um, your paper with citations and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we're
That's the
doing,
citation about the MLA and APA.
yeah, so we're using APA for this project.
Okay.
So we want to kind of start that formatting if we can midway in the year was 2021. So it's a pretty new book.
Yeah, it is next
All
year.
right. So The Girl Who Survived. And in APA, we don't capitalize titles, but we make them italic, which is when you make the font slanted.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have our text, right? Now what we would want to do is kind of tell the story, just like you did to me a few minutes ago,
Mm-hmm.
which was so for uh, The Girl Who Survived by Elliot Midwood is a text, and this talks about the Holocaust during World War II, right?
Yes, but actually I didn't complete this reading of this book, but I just like started. I even don't know much more
Okay,
what happened at the end of this book. So
that's
that's why I feel like what should I start writing?
yeah. So remember, I said that books can be hard because they're really long, and we have too much to kind of analyze. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually kind of good that you didn't read the whole thing because then you can focus on those first few parts of the book that you've read.
Mm-hmm.
Is a book that I have not finished reading. However, the impact of just the first part helped me to better understand my own life
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things I had experienced.
Oh, okay. You means like the first part, even the title before going through reading, starting the book. So what the title exactly saying, which kind of survive like the
Yeah.
girl, like so, yeah.
So and you kind of talk about like, are you from Afghanistan?
Yes, I'm from
Okay.
Afghanistan.
So being from, I hope I'm spelling this correctly. Afghanistan. Yes, it did. Okay. I have seen and experienced many things that are similar to the events
Mm-hmm.
shown in this book
Mm-hmm.
about the Jewish Holocaust during World II. So this is where you can kind of you might even give a little bit more detail if you want to about, why you think the similarities are similar. So you can add as much detail to this as you want.
Mm-hmm.
But something like this, let's see our word count right
Um,
now. I know it's in here, format tools. So we have 70, so we need a little bit more detail.
okay.
So in The Girl Who Survived by Ellie Midwood, the book that I have not finished reading. There we go.
Mm-hmm. I think
um,
the impact of this.
yep, let me. Here it is. The Girl Who Survived by Ellie Midwood, book that I've not finished reading. However, the impact. Don't need that comma. Being from Afghanistan, I've seen and experienced many things similarly shown in this book about the Jewish, about the it's a experiences of someone uh, mm, about, and it's about a young woman, right?
Uh-huh. Uh, okay, young woman,
Or is it just a woman? Let's just go with woman.
Okay.
So, what else would you want to kind of say about your experience with like what did it make you feel
Uh, feel about the text or
about yourself?
even text? Yeah. So actually, I feel like from the child, especially the woman, woman rights, even the girl when she grows and how the struggling, even she lives, especially she lives in different society where there's so many struggling
Mm-hmm.
going around her, like um based on the education, work purposes, and even the rights that she has, but somehow like it has been taken by the some political, or yeah, something which is like not allowing the majority of the women, like especially girls, to live in a peaceful, survive what she exactly want, what the woman wants in the society. But like after passing of the time, suddenly something happening like war, then how she's standing and fighting, like fighting for her freedom, fighting a way to like for me, like to escape and find the free life, to get, to survive, even to achieve what she wants, and she didn't get it in her back life when she was a child. So somehow like it's really affected on me that uh, step by step, like a girl try to move forward, but still there was some uh, obstacles, like she has to face, she has to get prepared for that. But so many things are not coming right now, but if to think first and then
Mm-hmm.
I need to write or type what
Yeah.
exactly want.
Okay. I
So
think this actually is kind of a good way to start this then, where it's just kind of talking about how you see everything that you've had to go through, all of the struggles, all of the problems, all of kind of like the things that have been taken away from you.
yeah,
Um,
even
are
torture. Yeah,
you see them in the same
yeah.
character.
It's reality, yeah. They have faced even torture based on uh uh ethnic and groups where I live. So yeah,
Add that in because that's an important having culture taken away, having like the idea of ethnicity and who I am, and having culture, our cultures and identities.
yeah. Identity also was the matter of, yeah. And
How does that sound so far?
I think it needs a little bit to rearrange it. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
And
good.
you are this is just an example. You are
Mhm.
free to change, adapt, add to this as much as
Yeah,
you
I will add it. So now I understand like
yeah.
where I am now, from which point I should start. I really was lost now, but now I understand it. This is kind of like giving a background to
Mhm.
amplify. Yeah.
So now we can also think about the rhetorical. So this might be a little bit to help you get started with stage one for Monday. We can also we don't you don't have to, but we can add in kind of where we see the rhetorical appeals.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at the rhetorical appeals that Midwood. So we use the last name of the author. Use in the book. Do you feel like because it's a story and it's about experiences and memories and things like that, that very much is pathos, right?
Yeah, it's more pathos than but then after pathos I feel like kind of how my emotional related to the text or
Mhm,
even the titles like more pathos as well.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So then pathos. Look at the book. Pathos is the most powerful from so we can you very much talk about kind of like the emotional experiences drive the message and purpose, right?
Yes, it was based on emotional, like how something I never achieved and I had something, but when I looked to this book, it just like reflected my life when I looked to this book and even the title when I went through the first and
Mhm.
half pages. Yeah, I feel like there is something to figure out, but I couldn't like find the time to come to even to continue
Yeah,
this book. But yeah.
no worries. All right, I'm gonna highlight this because this is our thesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So pathos is the most powerful
Mm-hmm.
thesis. So we have that. Now, we have pathos. We have to kind of think about how we're going to deal with all the other three. So when you think about logos, ethos, and kairos,
Mm-hmm.
um, what do you think the balance is for those?
The balance is like when it comes to my emotional, when I start thinking, so it's also dramatically moved me back to why I'm in this position, why I strike out. So there is something like so this is the fact like ethos after pathos it comes like ethos, I think so.
Okay.
Uh,
Now, is it ethos because of the remember the ethos is about the person who wrote it.
oh, okay.
So mid it would be about like Midwood's expertise in this necessarily. Now, I think this is actually her first series of books, so she's still kind of building her expertise, her fame with this book, but it's gotten a lot of awards.
Mm-hmm.
So the book itself has been powerful for a lot of people. So there might be ethos there. But from the way you've kind of described your exposure, your connection to this book, it sounds like it came at the right time in your life,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So
So,
that would be Kairos.
yeah, what about the Kairos, Professor?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, so Kairos, because I started taking an action. So
Mhm.
that's why the last day of staying in Kabul before to take the flight and move out from Kabul, Afghanistan. So it was the situation where it I was feel that it's need to take an action. If I didn't get that bus or the chance to with other students to move out from Afghanistan, so of course that chance I could miss up, and today I would not be here
Mhm.
with all the dreams and hopes, even my education. So yeah, I think it's kind of serious related to the Kairos, the fact, the actions where I taken on that time.
Ah,
So the pathos leads me to connect to the Kairos where I'm here, but then also,
and you can describe this more, so I'll let you kind of construct that set of
mm-hmm,
ideas.
mm-hmm,
Um, Needed to be taken. So the story is set long ago, but the conditions are current. I'm living them. I'm living these experiences right now. So that's something that you can kind of express. Is this is a book um, that is related to what you're experiencing right now, and it's helping you realize how to do the things to survive that this character did. Right?
uh-huh,
Okay. So that makes then so Kairos spurred you to action.
Yeah,
right? It wasn't just about your way of thinking, but it was like, I have to do this thing differently. I have to move. I have to go.
yeah.
And that's a hard decision. That's a big decision to make.
Yeah, it was like so those decisions like really like um those decision affects even a good way that take me out how like today I'm a survivor to say like
Mhm.
in the middle of the war even you even don't have hope to will you be back alive or not. It's kind of like very serious circumstances I had even in my life for the
Got
first
it.
time. So this is what like the actions of Kairos leads me to
Okay.
survive. So this book's kind of like the girl. Yeah, so
Okay.
basically that this is what I was thinking about it.
Perfect. All right. So we have your thesis and theme number one. So Kairos is present because you're living these things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just make a highlight with this one. So that'll be your theme number two. I'm living these experiences right now. That is the most kairotic thing ever, is now. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
So this is your theme number two. And all right. And then we want to think about that we have logos and ethos left. So ethos is present in the quality of writing
Mm-hmm.
by Midwood. So I think I go back. First five book
Yeah.
awards. I'm pretty sure I've heard a lot about this book, earning lots of awards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even like most of these books were like said like interpreted in different way.
Yeah.
Even so, this is the fact that I'm surviving based on its title, but in fact is that even girl girls and boys, even men, women, both of them are not having rights, no peace, like no freedom of the choice,
Okay.
even most related to the social and cultural
That's
perspectives.
those
Yeah.
are really good points for logos. Logos is present in the way Midwood.
Yeah, even you love someone, but you don't have rights, so to express and um, this all the um, responsibility, like you have your own, but you're giving to the different persons, like you totally don't have rights even. So it's hard, but I don't know how this book explained, but this is what I understand.
Okay. And that's what you can kind of say. It uses the history of the Holocaust and its survivors to show their universal um, experiences. So while it's kind of like logos is present in the way that she uses history of the Holocaust and its survivors to show their universal experiences, which then
Mhm.
connects it to the really powerful. And then we've got all four. So we got ethos is present in the quality of writing by Midwood. So like for this would be your theme number three, right? And then what you might need for this, you might need to look at sources that are reviews of the book,
Mhm.
and not just like general reviews by anybody. You want to look at like formal reviews of the book, like from publishers or from literary magazines or things like that
Mhm.
that talk about like the quality of
Okay, okay, sources, right?
the book.
So then when I find out 4 sources, so I have to paste it here. So
Well, you don't, no, not for this. So that won't be till later, during stage 2, so next week. So, and you don't have to have 4. You can as many as you need for this project. So if it's just a citation for the book, like we have up here, that's just fine. But because we maybe want a little background about Midwood and her ability to write, that you would need to back that up a little bit later, not yet.
Okay.
For stage 1, due Monday, don't need that yet. For stage 2, that's when we start to think about the sources.
Okay.
All right, and then logos is present. And it connects, let's connect logos. They're really powerful pathos. So this is our theme number 4. Okay. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
So we might, let's do this. Let's do a little rearranging.
Yeah, I will changes.
Yeah, so then logos might be, since we're saying logos is tied to that pathos, for example, we would make that appear with the pathos. Does that make sense?
Oh, it just needs like only I have to bring change on pathos, but
and again, this is just an example. You can decide how you want to explain it.
Okay.
All right, now for a citation. So we have, when we do citations for sources, we have to have 2 parts. First is the in-text citation, and with APA, that's always the author and year. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do in-text citations, but for APA, as long as you either have the name of the author and the year, you're good. Then what we would end up doing after the essay or after what you've written, you always want to have, for APA, it's references. For MLA, it's a title called Works Cited. So we want to put in Midwood, comma, and her first initial E, books from 2021, and period. The girl.
The title of the book.
Yeah.
The girl who survived. Okay.
And then we don't, in APA, we don't capitalize the whole title, just the first letter. And if there's any like proper names, like if it was Emily, the girl who survived, then Emily, of course, would always be capitalized.
Okay.
And then we need the publisher.
Publisher, okay.
Yeah. Which is Book Auteur, which I've never heard of that publisher. It must be a new one. Book Auteur. Edit. Paste without formatting. Fine. Auteur. Period. And the new formatting, we don't have to have like the location of the publisher anymore, especially since a lot of publishers are strictly online now. So there's no real like before you have to like New York City publisher. Don't have to do that anymore.
So there's no volume, or I don't think so.
It doesn't look like there's a volume. And usually with books, the publication year, was, it was 2021. If that was the version of the book you read, I think they said there were other versions of the book. We can look up Midwood.
But still, I'm thinking like if now I just judged my life through with the title of this book and the first page.
Yeah.
I didn't complete it, but how it's possible to start writing because this is my introductory
Yeah.
so it's really hard. Then what about the thesis? So I have to figure out my thesis based on my experience of this
yeah. So like that sentence just starts, when I look at the rhetorical appeals that Midwood is used in the book, pathos is the most powerful. There's your thesis right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to find out 3 points why it was like pathos for me.
You can. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be, it could be like when we think about the outline. And yesterday after class, one of your classmates actually stood back. Where to go? He stayed back to kind of get a little bit more help. like for him, ethos was the most powerful in the example he and I talked about. So I have 3 different questions that talk about that. But down here, I have 4, pardon me, 4 questions that talk about ethos. The next one I have just 3, and then I have 1 question for Kairos. So you don't have to have a specific number of questions for stage 1. It just depends on how much, like, especially if we're talking about pathos being the most powerful. You will need to kind of think about that a lot more deeply than you might have to think about ethos. Like for her, for the ethos, what might be really helpful is, you know, just getting some background on her writing experiences and why she is able to write about this in such a powerful way. And that just comes from one question: what makes Midwood a good writer? Done. And that would be all you would need.
Okay.
All right. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording real quick.